previously we did a pre-recorded bit, and now we have gone live to take your questions. So I think that's how it's going to go, and I am ready to start taking some of your questions. So I've got the chat log here. If you start writing them down right now, I'm going to pick some out, and then we're going to talk for a little while. Maybe an hour, maybe an hour and a half. I don't know. Depends on how fucking crazy this gets. All right, guys? Pondy Jacobs asks, what do you think life is like for the average person in this world? It's always hard for me to relate to the world outside the aristocratic characters we usually deal with in these books. And I think that, their lives are like our lives. I think it's very, very similar, where you have these hyper elite, 1% who are controlling everything that's going on, and then you have like the 99% of just your average Joes who just work a job, and they have a family and they do a thing and that's it. Now but the thing is because there isn't computers, like there's a lot more opportunities for people to have jobs, because people have to make everything. People have to make shoes. Not to say that you can't have like machines, because there are machines, they just can't be thinking machines. So you have to have people controlling machines, So because there are no machines, there's work for everybody. Their jobs aren't being taken away by robots, you have people who work as gardeners. You have people who work as janitors. You have people who work making clothes. You have people working doing all sorts of stuff. So there's a lot of artisans, there's a lot of craftsmen. So I think it's probably pretty sick. That's like one thing that I think about a lot, is how, because of the rise of technology and the Industrial Revolution, the job availability has dropped for human beings. And yes, it's awesome in certain ways to mass produce things and things get cheaper, and yes, whatever. But what is the trade-off for that? You don't get something without giving something. And I think what we've given away is people making stuff by hand. And I think that as someone who went to art school, as someone who enjoys drawing and painting and making things, I'm very, very crafty. I love crafting. I get a lot of joy when I craft and I make things. And I think that all human beings feel that. And I'm sad that we don't have as much of that going on in our job market today, where people can be artisans and craftsmen. And I think that if we could somehow get back to that, that would be awesome. But I don't know if that's possible. Things are weird right now. Who knows where we're going, Maybe we'll end up with a Butlerian jihad someday. But, yeah, I think it's, I don't know, it's really interesting where we're at. I feel like we're at this kind of singularity, and, we do place so much hope on our technology. And I feel, I kind of agree with Frank Herbert, how it's become a crutch, and we think that just because we carry these phones, these computers in our pocket, that, we're so smart. But that doesn't mean you're smart, it means your phone's smart, just because you have, that doesn't equate to you. So technology is a crutch, and I think that we shouldn't put all our hopes and dreams in it. And I am interested in what human beings can do. I'm not as interested in what our technology can do, which I'm sure can do fabulous, wonderful things. I'm not against it, but I just, I like seeing what I can do, let's work on our own mutant powers and see, what's going on. All right, let me look for another question. Let's see what else is going on here. Java Turkey Duck asks, am I being crazy, or can some of the characters and organizations be related to archetypes found in the tarot deck? Paul the Hermit, Gaius Helen Mohim / Jessica the High Priestess, and it represents Paul's journey from knowing nothing, the Fool, to becoming the Kwisatz Haderach of the universe. Well, I think, I think that Frank Herbert was definitely on to a lot of shit. I think that he looked into all esoteric traditions when he was creating this, and I think that that's why this book is so this book is alchemical, in my opinion, because he has infused it with so much truth found in so many different religions. It's really fantastic. And I absolutely think that I think that he does have knowledge of the tarot, and that he did have some of these things in mind when he was creating this book. But I don't think it was, I think everything's involved in this. I think that he was studying Sufism, which is a part of Islam, the more mystic part of Islam. I think that he was into Zen Buddhism. I know he was like really into Zen Buddhism. There's a lot of that stuff in here. The Fremen warriors in particular evolved from some people called the Zen Sunni, which, like, Zen is in the friggin' word, so they're all about that shit. I mean, there's stuff from all over. There's stuff from Hinduism. There's stuff from Christianity. All the major religions have kind of are represented in this. And I highly recommend you read Appendix 2, which is called The Religion of Dune. It's on page 811 in, our manual, our book that we're doing. And, and so something that's interesting, though, before we move on to the next question about tarot, is that the tarot absolutely does pop up within Dune later. It doesn't pop up in this book, but in, I believe, Dune Messiah and then in Children of Dune, there's something that crops up called the Dune Tarot that becomes very popular within the universe. And I've kind of been tempted to illustrate some of those cards of what I think they would be like. I think it's really interesting trying to like translate those, like the Dune Tarot, and compare it to our tarot, because I'm a student of the tarot. I know a lot about it. But I'm always learning. But I think that would be an interesting exercise. And like how the meanings are a little bit different, because like the moon and the sun card for us in our tarot is like the sun is very positive and the moon is very mysterious. It's like the moon is a night journey that you're on, and then the sun is like, oh, like this very universal endorsement, it's very positive. But within the Dune Tarot, they're switched, because on Arrakis, the moon is your friend and the sun is your enemy. Like, the sun is the one who's like gonna fuck your shit up, and the moon is like the chill one, So the connotations between those two things are very different. And I think that that's really interesting, so in our tradition, the moon is considered, like, you're very much relying upon your intuition. The moon card is very much like, you got to use your intuition, because you're not going to know what's going on. You have to be very intuitively based with the moon card. Whereas the sun card is more conscious. It's all about, like, being consciously based. And the Fremen, like, because it's so fucking hot on Arrakis, they sleep through the hottest part of the day. Like, they sleep until, like, the afternoon, evening time. And that's when everybody gets up, when things are cooling off and the sun's going down. And then they're up all night, because that's when you can go out and you're not going to get fried. It's like, that's the deal. So the Fremen themselves are night people. They're accustomed to living in their intuition, and I think that that's another thing that makes them so powerful. So let me move on to the next question here. Poop Virus asks, did you intentionally start this on the full moon? That was absolutely in my mind. It kind of just worked out that way. Like, I was looking through my planner, and I saw that today was a full moon, and I was debating on whether we should do it this Sunday or next Sunday or the Sunday before. And when I saw it was like the full moon in Capricorn, I was like, this is good. That we're going to start here. And I think actually it's funny, next Sunday is going to be like the half moon, and then the Sunday after that's the new moon. But then we get off the cycle, because the moon isn't like, it doesn't go with our schedule. Also, Tetrotic asks, both the Foundation series and Dune were written in the 50s and 60s. They both feature hyper-aware and hyper-observant orders based on the soft sciences in the form of the Bene Gesserit and the Second Foundation. Was something going on then to nurture these ideas? That's a really fascinating question, because there's so much really amazing science fiction that came out of the 50s and 60s, and there were a lot of really amazing writers and a lot of really amazing thinkers. And I think that if I had to take a wild guess, if I had to take a guess here, the 50s and 60s were like the start of the modern era, like post-World War II. And like, we have achieved a peace, like now, and you also have, and we've been through 2 world wars at this point. And so you have this younger generation who has grown up with this peace and like and this prosperity. And so now they're like coming into their own, and they've seen, their parents have told them about these wars, and they're in this modern era. And so there's just like, it's like all these new ideas are cropping up, and all these new technologies as well, like not only like politically, it was a very different scene than it had been. It was also technologically a very different scene than it had been. I mean, the 50s had that, oh, we're going to a push-button era where you're just going to, like, push a thing and robots are going to come out and clean your house and we're going to have flying cars. And it was just, like, this very optimistic time that was looking forward to, like, where technology was going to bring us. And I also think, too, that, this is when people started traveling a lot more. Like, you had people... You could take commercial flights here and there, like after then you could go travel around the world. So I think people started mixing a lot more than they ever had been before. And especially after World War II. I mean, everyone's parents, a lot of people's parents and grandparents had been, off in other countries, like seeing other things. So you've had this like intense mingling of cultures. And I think this is kind of a product of that, a product of that mingling. Because, yeah, I think about that now, and I think to myself, like, who's writing, like, the Dune of today? Like, I don't know. And here's another thing. Frank Herbert, though, I mean, Frank Herbert was so ahead of the curve. Like, I can't even with how smart that dude is. Like, that guy is a genius, like, let's just call a spade a spade. Like, he is a genius. And this is something that's really interesting about Dune is, okay, so this book came out, I believe, in 1964. And this book is I don't know if it's the first book, but it's one of the first books that have popularized the idea of planetary ecology. Because before then, people did not think of like planet Earth is one giant ecology. We just thought of it like, we didn't think about it like that. It was like, oh, we're in our space, they're in their space, whatever. We didn't think of it as one whole living ecosystem. And so, he was one of the ones who helped pioneer that idea and helped get it out to the mainstream. And it's so crazy to think that, like, wow, people didn't think like that before. Like, you'd think people have always known that, but they haven't. I mean, people didn't even see a full color picture of the globe, of the Earth, until the 1970s. There was a photo that came out called the Blue Marble, and, like, that was the first time everyone had gotten to see an image of Earth. Like, the whole thing. So, so there's a lot of, like, new technologies and new shit going on that was really making things different. Ibernac asks, are the humans in this universe from Earth and then went out to space, or did humans evolve on other planets, and Herbert implying that humans are the ultimate form of evolution? All right, here's the deal. There are no aliens in Dune. Everyone is human. Everyone has come from Earth. Like, Earth was the mother planet. We have gone out. We have colonized all of these other planets. But this has been going like, okay, so Dune is like, I don't know, 20,000 years in the future from today. Like, something like that. It's a rough estimate. It's like really long time. So we've had a long time to evolve. And so we've evolved ourselves in all these different crazy ways. So there are people, like, we don't get into the Leilaxu. Like, the Leilaxu are really fucking weird, okay? They're, like, super fucking weird, and they're, like, little and elven, and they, like, they're human, but they're very different than your average human. So it's like, we've evolved into all these really crazy different forms, but everyone is originated from the mother planet of Earth, which nobody, I don't think, even really knows where it is anymore. Like, Earth's just like, oh, who cares? We don't even know. Nobody cares.
Do you think that means that Frank Herbert doesn't believe in aliens?
Do I think that means that Frank Herbert doesn't believe in aliens? I don't know if he believes in aliens or not, but I feel like for this novel, he wanted to really talk. Like, he was very much a humanist, as I was saying earlier. He was very interested in human capabilities, and so thereby cutting out technology and aliens, we can focus on humans, and we don't have to, like, worry about that shit, because it's not important to him. That's not what he's talking about. He's talking about humanity, because Frank Herbert was very concerned with humanity. Just like, another thing, we're talking about Foundation series, but we also had in the 60s Star Trek and Gene Roddenberry and his ideas, I mean, there was this real push of like, hey guys, can we all just agree that we're all human beings? Can we all just stop fighting and realize that we're acting really silly and start maturing ourselves as an entire species instead of thinking like, like when people talk about like, oh, race, you know, and it's like, we're all humans. Like, we're all one race. Like, what is this race shit? You know, like, it's so silly. And I think about aliens. I believe in aliens. And I think the aliens are just like, when they look down on us. Like, we look so dumb, like fighting amongst ourselves over it's just such petty bullshit all the time. And the thing is, though, it's really our leaders like fighting over resources. That's like what the real deal is. Okay. Nivek 1590 asks, do you feel the Dune universe government is now fully controlled by business CHOAM? Emperor of the government is the CEO of CHOAM. And that's the thing, like, it's not, one doesn't rule the other. Like, they rule together, you know? Because as I was just saying, like, resources are what's important, you know? Like, it's not about money, really. It's more about resources. And so CHOAM is this publicly held company, and the emperor owns the majority. He's the majority shareholder. So he is the CEO of CHOAM, and that other great houses have, you know, varying amounts of, and other businesses as well have varying amounts of control over this company. But it's just been integrated together into this like giant space Amazon monopoly, and that's how they keep everything together, you know? And I don't know if it's better or worse, you know? I mean, there's good things that come with that, and there are bad things that come with that. There's a lot of monopolies going on in Dune. So, yeah, I mean, it's very intertwined, you know? One isn't more powerful than the other one. They work very much together, like they've become as one, you know? XE1ARA, Zawanara? I don't know how to say that. Machines are banned, but there are flying ships, syringe drones, shield tech, etc. Where is the line? The line is at, he said, thinking machines. You know, they can like function as machines and do a job. They just can't, they can't think. I don't know.
You can't have data.
You can't have data, yeah. You can't have AIs. You can't have like, I think you can have like programs that tell it to do something, but it can't be more than that. But even though, like, wouldn't calculators be just like a program, but they're like super banned?
And their technology.
Oh, okay. Well, that's something that's really interesting to me is, so since technology is kind of like shunned in the Dune universe, they want to hide it. You know, they hide all of their technology within their furniture, within their walls of their homes. Like, you don't just have like your computer sitting out. You know, like, that's just ugly. They think that shit's ugly. Nobody wants to see that shit. And so they integrate it with, like, all of their stuff to where it's, like, seamlessly kind of in there. And, fuck, I love that idea, man, because let me tell you, like, T-Bone's got a lot of wires all over this place, and it's just fucking ugly. It's just so ugly. I hate the way I wish that technology was more hidden and integrated in my life and in my home, because...
What happens when I clean up the wires?
Oh, yeah, okay, so we'll do, like, every, I don't know, 6 months to a year, I'm like, we gotta do something about these wires, you know, we gotta clean up these wires, and they just grow back. Like, he'll like, you know, take some or cover some with a little thing or whatever, and then, you know, a month later, some new wires snaking in, you know, it's just, like, it never stops, but at the same time, like, wireless shit kind of sucks right now anyways, so it's, like, I'm looking forward to that wireless golden era.
It will never happen.
Crosby T. Robot asks, does the documentary Jodorowsky's Dune spoil the book, or can I watch it while reading? You can absolutely watch it while reading. I don't think that it spoils the book. I don't know if there's any spoiling of Dune, though. Because someone else was telling me on Twitter that they had been they were reading some of the appendices in the back of the book, and they were disappointed because, you know, they felt like some certain things had been spoiled for them. And I feel like the Dune universe is so fucking vast and complicated and involved that, like, there's no spoiling. That's like, oh, am I gonna spoil meeting this person? You know, it's like, this is a living, breathing thing. Like, I think it's not a problem to solve. It's a reality to experience. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no spoiling of Dune, in my opinion. But I'm not somebody who's really sensitive to spoilers anyways, because I really think that it's about the journey, you know? It isn't necessarily about this, that, or the other. And, like, the thing is a lot of you have seen the movie, like, we know, you kind of know what's going to happen to some degree. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it's okay to watch Jodorowsky's Dune. And Jodorowsky is just, Man, what a madman. I love him so much. Like, he's the best.
Hard one and easy one.
And fun fact, so this is something I've stated before, but so Jodorowsky was going to create Dune, a Dune movie. It fell apart. He instead used a lot of his ideas that he would have put into the Dune movie into his comic book called The Inkle, which he created with the amazing artist Mobius. We did a whole 2 episodes on them on Greater Creators, by the way. And so later on, if you love the Fifth Element very much, it borrows heavily from the Inkle. Like, it borrows so heavily from the Inkle. And so it's really interesting that the Fifth Element has roots in Dune. And in fact, a lot of things have roots in Dune. Like, it's just, somebody was actually saying online that there was a Dune video game, and that inspired Blizzard to make World of Warcraft. Like, even, so many people owe shit to Dune. That's, like, how ridiculous this property is. It's, like, such an amazing IP, because Frank Herbert is made an alchemical work of art, you know? I mean, it just goes on and on. Argent Corvus asks, going back to the Reverend Mother's test of Paul, what does the elitism of human over animal say for the goals of the Bene Gesserit? Are they saying that humanity is above nature? What does this say about the human view of ecology and the environment in this universe? And are the Bene Gesserit trying to attain godhood? Okay. Really interesting question. Very well said. They believe that... Okay, so one of my favorite Bene Gesserit axioms is seek freedom and become captives of your desire, you know, and it goes on to say that seek discipline and find, you know, your freedom. And that's what they live by. It's like the only real control that we have is over ourselves. Like, we like to think that we have control over our surroundings and over everything else in our life and other people in our life. But we don't. We really, really don't. Literally the only thing that you have control over is yourself. And if you have the discipline to learn how to control yourself and control your animal instincts, that you can accomplish a lot. Like, you can make some real change in the world, you know, like some real shit happen. And I believe that, you know, and that's something that I'm trying to do all the time, is become more conscious and more aware of myself and more in control of myself. In fact, I'm on a really fucked up medical diet right now where I can't eat a lot of things that I want to eat because I'm killing this, like, parasitic candida that's, like, in my stomach, and it's, like, wanting me to eat things, and, like, I have to overcome this thing. And by doing so, like, I have to control myself. And it's hard. And I've had days where I've broken, where I have very much not been able to override my animal instincts. Like, I was at my friend's wedding, and I totally had a piece of that cake, and I shouldn't have had a piece, but I did. But, you know, it's something that I think that we should all work on. And the thing is, okay, so the Bene Gesserit, if they are like the Jesuits who are followers of Jesus, right? Jesus exhibited... Kwisatz Haderach, like that's a term that's a Jewish Kabbalistic term, okay? And it's spelled a little differently, but it's something where someone, it translates the same as someone who can, the shortening of the way, where someone essentially kind of teleports, you know, where you get somewhere way faster than you're supposed to get. And that's something that's happened a few times in the Bible. It's been argued, you know, it's never specifically stated, it's like this huge miracle, but it happens. And Jesus is someone who has been able to exhibit those properties, right? And so the Bene Gesserit believe that they can breed a human being, who can be able to not teleport, like, physically, but be in all places at once, where they're in the past and they're also prescient in the future. And so because they know the past and the future, that every decision they make can, like, they become the fulcrum of the universe, you know, it's this whole thing. And so they are absolutely trying to attain godhood in humanity. Like, they are looking to incarnate a Messiah in the physical plane, okay? Like, that's absolutely their goal. And the thing is, though, is that they want to have control over that power. That's the thing that's, like, that's where in their pride they fuck up, you know, because these women are so powerful and they are so in control of themselves, and there isn't people above them that's, like, way more badass than them. So, like, they become prideful, and then they try to create, a living God, and they do, and they are not able to control that. Like, who can? You can't control that sort of, like, nobody can. Like, that's a pipe dream. So, and there are ramifications that they deal with because of this. Like, earlier I kind of talked about Bene Gesserit punishment. Like, they take special pleasure in punishing someone because they, like, know exactly all your weaknesses and exactly things to do to just, like, really fuck your shit up. And, like, they fuck their own shit up. You know what I mean? It's like the saying where it's like, you're your own worst enemy. And that's absolutely true of the Bene Gesserit. But, because the thing is they're human at the end of the day. And I feel like, they're trying to breed this human god, essentially, so that they can speed up the evolution of humanity, and ensure our path and make sure that humanity goes on and we do not destroy ourselves. But by doing that, like, by going, like, they're trying to make us evolve a little faster than we necessarily should. And because of that, like, there's a price, I mean, I really live by the words that you have to give something to get something. And what is given in return for being able to breed this Kwisatz Haderach is a lot. And it's something that they get really bummed on. And they're like, fuck, maybe we shouldn't have done this. Maybe this was a terrible idea. Like, maybe we fucked up, guys. Like, super good stuff. I love the Bene Gesserit. They're just so fascinating. They're super fascinating. S.P. Kivit says, do you think Frank Herbert was remarking on capitalism and criticizing it in any way? I mean, I think that he's remarking upon everything. And he's criticizing, but he's also just showing you how it works. He's just being like, look, this is how it works, okay? Like, and no matter what ideals that we try to sprinkle on top of whatever we're doing, like, this is always how it works. And I think that what Frank Herbert was really getting at is that we shouldn't be looking for someone to save us. And that, if we put ourselves, like, if we put someone in charge of us, like the emperor, it's like, that's not the best form of government. He thinks that, and it's something that he never really got to get to. He was supposed to write a 7th book, and that was really going to talk about the different forms of government that he thought would be better. But in my mind, what it is when we no longer put someone in charge of us, where we are so mature that we are able to work out our differences among each other without having some centralized figure that we all follow. Like, that's, like, a whole thing. And so, yeah. But, I mean, he absolutely has criticisms. But he's showing you how it works. He's pulling back the curtain a little bit, Do you think Frank Herbert aimed to show Dune as a visualization of what he saw in the world at the time, or where he thought we were headed in the future, or both? Neither. I think that he was showing us a future that we could have if we, like, he was showing us what we could be capable of if we ditch our technology and we, focus on our own abilities. I mean, I don't know if we could be able to unlock our genetic memories and all that stuff, but I mean, I absolutely think that if we took away those crutches, we would be able to develop some really fantastic abilities. And I think that it'd be really fucking cool. Okay? But I also like that he shows that, like, okay, so the universe was feudalism, it was like this very feudal thing, and it just shows you that even though we're so far in the future, the forms of government and the forms of commerce have not changed, and that they're not going to change. That, like, this, like I was saying earlier, this is how it is. Like, if we have a centralized government, and then we, it's like, this is just how it's gonna work, like, it's a triangle, that's the deal. So is this, okay, Sophia Henney asks, is this distinction between humans and animals made only by the Bene Gesserit? Does this distinction bleed into the general society? This is definitely only with the Bene Gesserit. Like, that's how their perspective on human beings are, is like, they specifically search to find people that they consider to be human by their standards and want to free them by teaching them how to control themselves so that they can deal with any situation that comes their way. They can be very, independent. They don't have to be slaves to whatever is going on, whatever situation, whatever person. And so, follow-up question, Bertinger Bard asks, what do you think about the planned breeding of the Bene Gesserit? I mean, aren't they robbing the freedom of some people? Well, I mean, they're not doing this to everybody. It's very specific. Obviously, their breeding program is very, very specific. And most people do just marry whoever and breed like normal people, But the women, so the women in the breeding program who give birth are women who are part of the Bene Gesserit order, who have allegiance to the Bene Gesserit order, and because they've been trained in these ways, they don't mind, like, they do it. Like, they do it and they don't complain about it. They're like, well, this is the deal. Like, they taught me to become like this. I have allegiance to them. They've given me all these strengths, so I have to return the favor and do what they ask of me. And a lot of times they take their babies. Like, not everyone gets to keep their baby, and like they just go with it. Like, they're just like, fine, it's part of the deal, like, because I mean, in order to be like considered true Bene Gesserit, like, you do have to be down for the fucking cause, In fact, and that's why it's such a huge deal that Jessica disobeyed. That is not something that happens very often. Like, that is not something that happens. And in fact, it's mentioned in the later books, but I mean, they have prison planets where if you're a Bene Gesserit and you disobey to some degree, like, they will take you, punish you, and then exile you to this prison planet, where it's like, that's the deal, Tutin Kass asks, are you enjoying Dune Club with us so far? Absolutely. Absolutely. I love this book. I love sharing it with you guys. Another reason why I started this is I remember when I was in college and my boyfriend and I, we were both readers, and so we would read books together. We didn't read Dune together, but we did read all of the Dark Tower series together. And it was so funny because we were so poor that we would have to, like, sometimes we could only afford one book, so we'd have to just kind of like pass it back and forth. And it was like so intimate and so much fun, and it was just something that's like this really fond memory of that I have with this other human being, of sharing a story with them. And so I thought, well, why not have that with the internet? Why not have that with thousands of people? I think that it's pretty fucking awesome, like, to be able to share something like that, especially something as personal as Dune. I mean, there's parts of me where there's certain passages that really hit me that I don't talk about because I feel like it would be too revealing of my personality to talk about it. I mean, this book is very intimate, like, for me. And so I'm very much kind of burying myself in a certain way with you guys. But that's been something that this year I've been wanting to do, is I've been wanting to have a more authentic connection with my audience, with you guys. I think it's really important. I think that what we have is really special, and I very much cherish it and value it. Anytime I'm like bored in the middle of the night and I want to talk about something and I don't have any friends that are awake to talk about it with, or friends that give a shit because they have like kids and jobs and things, they don't have time for my bullshit all the time. The internet always has time for my bullshit, and I think that's like, it's so great. Like, it's such a great situation. So, yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying Dune Club as well. I think you guys are. That's what I've been told, that you guys are enjoying it. It's like, that's another thing too. I saw a lot of people on Twitter who was really upset that the Kwisatz Haderach is a man. Like, why does a man have to come? And it's like, no, like, everybody needs to drop their, like, everyone's so triggered right now about everything. Like, everyone's so angry right now. Everyone's so triggered right now. And so I think we got to kind of learn to, like, look past our own silly triggers, because it's not like that. Like, everything that he's done in this book is for a real reason, not because of some bullshit, like, prejudice, It's like, it's literally, women don't have a Y chromosome, so they can't unlock their male ancestry genetic memories, because they just lack the genetic material literally in their genes. Like, it's not in their DNA. So it's like, it's not like a men are better than women thing. You know, it's not like Frank Herbert is a homophobe. Like, it's not like that. So I just want to put that out there. It was important for me. Okay, so some colored guy asks, do you believe that the spice struggle on Arrakis was an analogy for the oil situation in the Middle East? Absolutely. Absolutely. CHOAM is 100%, and Frank Herbert has admitted to this. CHOAM is an analogy for OPEC. And if you don't know what OPEC is, it is an alliance of oil-producing countries, mainly made up of Middle Eastern countries, I think some in Africa as well. And they're an oil cartel, you know, just like OPEC, or just like CHOAM is a cartel, you know, it's like, it's the same sort of thing. And so the spice melange is the oil that runs the universe. I mean, because there are no computers, we have to do things on our own, but because we are only human at the end of the day, we need a little bit of help. And the spice is a drug that helps us to be able to do that. For example, the Guild, this is something we're going to get into more in another session officially, but right now, like, the Guild has Guild navigators, and they use the spice melange to be able to fold space and time. Like, it makes them prescient. There's also some technologies like Holzman fields and stuff, but like, it's fake technology. I'm not even good at explaining real technology, so explaining, you know, fictional technology is really difficult for me. But without the spice, there are no Guild navigators. You know, you cannot fold space and time. You cannot space travel. You don't have Reverend Mothers. Reverend Mothers are gone. You know, they're not there anymore. Mentats don't use the spice, though, like that. Like, they don't need it. They use the juice of safu sometimes to elevate their thinking abilities. They can use the spice melange as a geriatric drug, because that's the thing that it's kind of marketed as, is that if you take it, and you're just, and like, taking spice, not everyone who takes spice, obviously, is going to be able to be elevated, you know, like, certain minds are not, they just don't have those talents and abilities. It's like, this unlocks things that you already kind of have. Most people, when they take the spice, they just live longer. It makes you live like 3 to 4 times longer. Like, it really makes your life like extend a lot. Also, it makes it to where you don't get sick. Like, you don't get sick off anything, like nothing. You're healthy. You're healthy and you live a really fucking long time. But the trade-off, again, because Frank Herbert believes this too, in order to get something, you have to give something, and it's addictive. And once you start taking the spice, and if you become addicted to it, if you take enough of it and become addicted, you have to continue to take it for the rest of your life, or you will go through spice withdrawals and die. You know, so it's like, it's not like there isn't a price for this. There's absolutely a price. And the spice melange is really expensive, okay? Because it is the oil that runs the universe. It is not easy to get your hands on, and it is like the most expensive substance in the universe. You know, it is like really crazy. So, you know, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Like, but yeah, it's totally an analogy for Middle East and OPEC stuff. And also, too, I mean, you know, water. It's like Arrakis has no water, and like, I think that water shortages and something else like that are things that Frank Herbert has also kind of foreseen, you know, in his fucking globe, you know, his magic globe. Tiberius' friend asks, what's the difference between a Bene Gesserit and a Reverend Mother? Reverend Mothers are Bene Gesserit, but you don't have to be a Reverend Mother to be Bene Gesserit. Like, Reverend Mothers are the top of the Bene Gesserit system, besides, like, Mother Superior that they have, like, their Pope Lady. But you can be trained in the Bene Gesserit order and not ascend to Reverend Motherhood. So, that's the deal. What does the Reverend Mother mean when she says, that which submits rules? Wouldn't rebelling and refusing to endure pain be better evidence of human will than submitting to authority? Says Radagast 150. All right. That which submits rules is something that I've been meditating upon in a lot of different ways. It has a lot of different meanings. It's a very Zen saying where you can take it into a lot of different ways, and you can think of it in a lot of different ways. And I think that what she's trying to say to Paul when she tells him that is they're, and this is kind of a Bene Gesserit philosophy of, like, if you can't beat them, join them. You know, like, it's, like, instead of allowing yourself, like, there's a time and a place for everything. And sometimes you have to chill out and fade into the background. You know, like, you can't always say, oh, stand up and, like, this is wrong, you know, like, because that's the whole thing about the Bene Gesserit. They don't openly ever use their power. Like, it's always through indirect means. Like, they have power, they're a very powerful order, but they don't believe in directly using raw power like that. They think that it's better to use it indirectly, and to give, like, I mean, and also if you think about the Bene Gesserit sisterhood, like that which submits rules, it's like, they themselves submit. Like, they're not in positions of power. Like, there's not a Bene Gesserit who's, like, the emperor of a, you know, they're not like the, you know, Duke Leto, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're the wives of these guys. They're the advisors of these guys, you know? Like, they're never, it reminds me of a saying that's like, the wise remain hidden, you know? And it's very much like that. It's like, you have to kind of remain in hiding to be the real power behind the throne, because the thing that we don't realize is that a lot of times the person who's on the throne is just like a puppet to, like, ooh, you know, like, to kind of draw your attention from the real people who are behind the curtain, like the Wizard of Oz, you know? It's like, oh, you got this big head talking, but it's really a man behind the curtain. And you want to be the man behind the curtain, you know? I think that that's, but again, you can use this in all sorts of ways. Like, I mean, I think it's just interesting to think about. Like, it's, yeah. And he has to submit to this pain in order to be free of it. I mean, that's another thing. It's like, well, if he had not submitted to that pain, then she would have killed him, and then he would have been dead, you know? So it's like, you wouldn't be ruling shit. You'd be fucking dead. So, and that's the thing, too, is about life. It's like, you do have to submit to pain. I mean, life, like, there is a lot of pain in life. Like, there's a lot of pain in growing up and maturing, and that's a part of life. And by trying to hide yourself from it, you don't make yourself stronger, you make yourself weaker. Like, by submitting to these painful situations, that's what allows you to grow. So, you know, like I said, there's a lot of ways you can take it. I think that's a few ways. I hope I've helped on that one, because I've really thought about that. Like, that one really caught me too. That was one of the ones that I was thinking about talking about at the end, being like my favorite quotes. Yeah, meditate upon it. Write it down on your hand. Think about it, you know? So it's the whole thing. Miss Marv asks, my copy of the book has scratches on it. Did Beans sign it? Let me be really real with you guys, okay? So me and Vicky, we ordered like a lot of books, okay? We had 2 pallets of books. And it's just, they come and they're all stacked up in these boxes. And they get scratched in shipping, you know? Like, they put these pieces of cardboard in there, and, like, I think they were rubbing during transport. And so some of them got, you know, warped a little bit. Some of them got scratched up a little bit. We did ask them if they could replace those. But because we had already signed them, because we just signed everything, they were like, oh, well, we can't replace them because you've signed them. And so they wouldn't send us some new ones that were fresher and nicer. So sorry if you got a scratched one, or a little bit of a warped one, or a dinged one. We apologize, but when you're ordering that many books, they're not all going to come in fresh and beautiful, unfortunately. And also, too, I do want to apologize for the permanent marker not sticking on there. I thought a permanent marker Sharpie would be enough. Apparently it's not. I didn't know that. So this is a work in progress. If things go well with Dune Club and we end up doing another Dune Club after this, if we want to keep reading the series, which I really hope that you guys want to keep reading the series with me, because as much as I love the first book, the shit's, like, it gets way crazier, okay? Like, you think this shit's crazy, like, it just keeps getting crazier. And so if we continue to do this, in my next Dune box, I plan to create, like, this little stamp thing that we're going to, like, stamp the inside page with instead, because I think that would be, it's going to stay. It's a thing. You know, this is all an experiment for us. We don't know what we're doing. We just made this up on the fly. I came up with this in fucking February, you know? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. That's the thing. You guys are so cute. You think I know what I'm doing. I have no idea. Like, I have no idea what I'm doing here. It's, like, super fun. But I get to figure it out, you know? It's, like, it's interesting. At least I'm doing something that I want to be doing, you know? So it's all a great experiment. It's all a great experiment. Master Paimai says, in Dune, spirituality is a big part of the human experience, but in reality, we're walking to a more logical and less spiritual future. Do you think Frank Herbert made a good prediction on future societies, or are we doomed to be fully logical beings? That's a good question. Well, it's interesting in Dune because, you know, the Bene Gesserit order, they tout themselves as kind of a semi-religious order. They say that, like, oh, we worship the Great Mother and all this stuff, but in reality, like, they don't. Like, they don't. They kind of not worship humanity, but it's like, that's what they focus on. They focus on the here and now and what's going on here versus some spiritual entity. And within Dune, it very much shows how people are manipulated through religion. Not to say that there isn't spirituality. Like, I mean, again, going back to that favorite quote of mine where the mystery of life isn't a problem to solve, it's a reality to experience, you know? And, like, that's their spirituality, is like, you're here to experience things here, not trying to get to some reward later in some afterlife. You know, like, that's not what this life is about. It's about getting to something better on the other side. This life is about being here now, you know? And it's been talked about a little bit, it was touched on, that the Missionaria Protectiva has been on Arrakis, you know, and what the Bene Gesserit do is, because they're so wise and they understand how all of these things work, they have this protocol where they will go as missionaries, like the Jesuits, as missionaries to all these different planets, and they seed these planets with prophecies, and they seed these planets with religious ideas. And the Missionaria Protectiva is something that tells them kind of like which prophecies to seed and things like that. And those prophecies that they seed are specifically there in case, say, a Bene Gesserit gets stranded on this planet, and she knows what's in the Missionaria Protectiva, so she can manipulate those spiritual ideas that have been seeded there to her own advantage so she can survive, you know, so she can survive any place. And that's what's going to happen on Arrakis, is like the Missionaria Protectiva has been there. That's where we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but that's where the Fremen have gotten a lot of these ideas of, like, a Bene Gesserit will come, you know, and her son, blah, blah, blah. It's like that stuff that's been seeded there. That's these false prophecies that they have put in place for their own ends. But the thing is like, the universe has a way of, if you say something enough, it'll happen, you know? And it's like, it becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy. That's the thing that's scary about prophecies, is whether you believe in them or not, if they're out there in the consciousness, they will manifest themselves eventually, you know? Like, if it's strong enough and the need is strong enough, I feel like these ideas manifest themselves. And it's interesting today, we have this really, we're going through an awakening. I feel like humanity is going through an awakening. We have the information age, we have the internet, you know, we have a lot more connectivity. We've been talking with one another. Again, our societies have been mingling more and more and more and more. And so now, like, we see, like, and we also have this rise, because of the information age, we have this rise of technology, and we have this rise of atheism that's happening, because we see the religions nowadays in this modern age seem defunct in a lot of ways. Like, they're not working in the way that they should, and that they've been, you know, I mean, the problem with religion is that they're controlled by men, and men are very fallible, you know? It's like, there's beautiful teachings within every religion. I love studying religions. I study a lot of different religions. I think there are beautiful teachings within Buddhism, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, like Taoism, Shintoism, like Hinduism, the whole thing. Like, everybody has pieces of the truth, but nobody has the whole truth, you know? But it's interesting to compare a lot of these and see the certain ideas that crop up between all of them. And those are ideas that I think are the strongest ones, obviously. So today, you know, you have this real, people are just like really rejecting it, you know, because, I mean, I know how it is. I grew up in the Bible Belt. Like, I went to church every Sunday for like 18 years of my life. I went to Sunday school afterwards. In high school, I went to Wednesday night Bibles, or in middle school, I went to Wednesday night Bible study. It was like a real thing I was very much involved in. And like, it put a very bad taste in my mouth personally, because I would see all these people preaching these things on Sundays, but then they weren't living them. I mean, there's just so much hypocrisy, because at the end of the day, we're only humans. And so now we're in this in-between stage where we're kind of growing out of religion in certain ways, but there's not something new. Like, we still want that thing to replace it. And so I feel like in certain ways, like, science has been something that's kind of been trying to fill that need that we have, because we do have a need for some sort of spiritual, you know, thing, you know? I don't know. And I have my own ideas about it, but I enjoin all of you to kind of, I don't know, think about what you really believe. Like, what do you feel in your soul? You know, like, what do you feel is like right? You know, it's like, don't just listen to what people tell you. Like, what, like, you know what's the deal. Like, you know what's chill.
Search on your own.
Yeah, search on your own. Find your own things. Find the things that work for you, because, you know, I don't know. It's like, because I've looked through all these different religions, I find the things that I'm like, oh yes, this rings true. Oh yes, this rings true. And like, that helps to give me kind of a place of grounding, you know, like a center.
Just like Paul, you know when something's true.
Yeah, just like Paul. I do have a little bit of truth sense. I'm not going to lie. I totally have some truth sense. I know when someone believes. I know I have a very sensitive bullshit detector, and I know when someone's lying and when someone believes what they're saying. I got it from my grandma, actually. She was like the master of that shit. So, yeah. All right. So let me move on to some new questions. But yeah, I mean, but there's a lot of Jesus hate out there. I get everyone's like mad at like Christianity, but like, man, don't blame Jesus. Like, he's like an awesome figure. He has some really amazing things that he's said and done that have changed like the course of humanity. You can't blame him because people are assholes, you know? Dominic Often Hyde said, unfortunately, my copy didn't make it to Germany yet, so I hope I'll be able to catch up. I'm so sorry that our postal service, your postal service, our postal service, they're all retarded. They're not awesome. So give us an email if you have not received it, like by next week, and we will send you another one. So, you know, we're trying our best here. Yeah, man, fucking shipping stuff, man. Ugh. And it's like, I want to make things available for you international guys, but it's so hard because shit always gets lost. Like, they always lose stuff, you know? It's like, always. Ugh, it's so frustrating. Like, I just want to strangle all these people. Not you, the carriers. Okay, so somebody asked, Red, Sonia's mate, says, what is your favorite section of the first Dune book? What is your favorite Dune book overall, and why? And I've been asked a lot of times, like, what's my favorite Dune book, you know? And that's, like, really hard to quantify because I kind of feel like they're all a part of this big thing that, like, I love them all. Like, I love them all so much, and they're all so different. It's like, I don't know. I guess people really do have a favorite child or something, but it's like, who's your favorite child? It's like, you love them all, you know? Like, you love them all in their own different ways. Dune book is, the first Dune book is absolutely the most exciting because you have this figure. I mean, Paul Atreides is this charismatic figure. He's perfect. I mean, he's the perfect leader. I mean, he's somebody that you would want to follow because he has a reason why he's doing what he's doing, and why he's doing it totally makes sense. You can totally relate to it. Like, all of these wonderful things. And then, like, you know, I mean, you see his rise, and it's just so fucking epic, you know? And a lot of people drop off after book 2 because we get past the fun, like, rise to power, and then we get into, like, the reality of being in power, you know, and the reality of all these things, which is not, reality isn't fun, you know? Like, I mean, winning the game is fun, but, like, becoming the king, like Robert's rebellion, you know, in Game of Thrones. Like, oh, Robert was so on it when he was, like, getting ready to become the king. It was just, like, this huge struggle, you know? But then once you're the king, you're like, oh, this kind of sucks. Like, this kind of sucks in a lot of ways. And so a lot of people drop off because they don't like seeing Paul not as this rising figure, you know, who somebody has to deal with like real problems now. But I think that, like, I don't know, I love them all. I don't have a favorite book. I really love God Emperor, though. I was really surprised by God Emperor, which is the, I think, fourth book in the series. We have Dune, Dune Messiah, Children of Dune, and then God Emperor. And the thing about God Emperor that I really like is that, and this is something that a lot of people, and again, another bunch of people drop off at God Emperor. Like, not a lot of people drop off at God Emperor because it gets too weird, you know, but I'm a fucking freak, so I'm like, let's see how weird we can get, you know? Like, yes, like, give me all the weird. But God Emperor, like, fast forwards, like, 3,500 years from, like, Dune times. And so you have a lot of, like, all these new characters. There are a couple of characters that come along for the ride. I don't want to spoil it. But it's like, oh, it's so amazingly weird. It's just so great. It's so great. And there's just, that book is really, like, I have underlined the fuck out of that book. Like, there is just so much God Emperor wisdom. Like, it's insane. In fact, I did a cosplay of God Emperor. That's your bookmarks for all you guys got a Dune box. That's my God Emperoress cosplay, because I just wanted to be a weirdo and do a really hideous, terrifying cosplay to kind of, I don't know, troll people, and it makes me happy. But then I like the next two too. It's like Heretics of Dune and Chapter House Dune. It's like those go even further in the future. Like, we go thousands of years beyond God Emperor in those books, and like, those books, like, they're just, they're all so good. They're all so good. As for my favorite part in Dune, this book, again, I just the whole thing. I just love the whole thing. I just can't get enough. It's just like, lay it on me, Frank Herbert, you know, just like put it all over me. Like, I love it. I have such a crush on Frank Herbert. I just really wish that I could have a conversation with that guy, you know? That guy was like, not only is he, like, super into, you know, he's an amazing writer, but, I mean, he also, like, let's get real about it, he was into mushrooms, okay, and not just, like, psychedelic mushrooms, he was into mushrooms, like, he was fascinated by fungus, and he pioneered a way to create, like, this slurry of this specific type of mushroom, and then you, like, dump it on some soil and some tree or whatever, and you can grow certain mushrooms with his formula, and, like, he came up with ways to grow mushrooms that no one had done before, you know? I mean, he considered himself a techno-peasant. Like, he was really, really brilliant, but, like, he liked to dig in the dirt, you know? And I think that's awesome, you know? I wish I had a green thumb. I don't. I'll kill a plant. I'll kill a plant, like, really fast. Okay, so next question comes from Michael, I guess. Would you want Dune to be a Game of Thrones style TV show? Yes. I've been saying this for a while. I would totally be into that. And I think that I'm getting ready to get my wish. I'm not 100% certain. This is just some rumor mill shit that I've heard from people. But if you didn't know, I believe is it Lionsgate that bought the IP for it? Lionsgate acquired, I believe, the IP for Dune. All right? And so now they're in developing something. We don't know exactly what, but they're developing something with the Dune IP. And what I heard, the rumor that I heard, is that they are going to begin with a movie, but then that movie, and I don't know if it's going to encompass the whole first book or part of the first book, I'm not entirely sure, but then supposedly that's going to lead into a television series. I hope. Fingers crossed, because that's really the only way to do it. You can't do Dune in a movie, at least in one movie. You might be able to do it if you did, like, a trilogy or something. You could, I think, be able to fit, all, like, do Dune, but it's so massive. I mean, as you see, you've been reading it. It's so massive. It's really hard to do in like 2 hours, you know? I mean, I don't know how many of you out there have seen the David Lynch 1984 Dune. I have. Tyson doesn't like it. He's giving me a boo sign. And it's not perfect. It's definitely a flawed film. I know that David Lynch himself is not entirely proud of it and kind of doesn't really talk about it and like kind of doesn't want to be associated with it. But for me, it's like I have a love in my heart for the 1984 Dune because it got me interested in Dune. I mean, I was so young when I saw that movie. Like, there's no way I could have read the books back then. But I saw this movie, and I was so intrigued by it. And I was just, like, really fascinated by it. I loved the imagery. I loved the ideas in it. I loved the characters. I had a huge crush on Paul. He's just, like, and it's so beautiful. Like, the costuming and the sets. I mean, I just really love the look of it. And that's also because, you know, I mean, you had a lot of really great artists working on it. And, like, I don't know. I really like it. It's flawed, but I really like it. And it was a place to start. And then later on, I read the book in high school. And, shut up. What?
I got a question.
What?
Talk about how Dune is open to interpretations.
Okay. And that's, okay, so Dune is very open to interpretation. That is something that's really interesting about this book. Like, he is not, like, Frank Herbert is not George R. R. Martin, you know? And if you've read any of the Game of Thrones series, you know that George R. R. Martin goes fucking bananas for descriptions, okay? This guy is, like, he's, like, fucking, it's insane. Like, he's like, she wore, you know, red slashed velvet with da-da-da-da-da, and then they were eating these quail legs that smelled with mint jelly, and, you know, it's just, like, it's insane, like, the amount of descriptions that George R. R. Martin puts into Game of Thrones, which I really enjoy those. Frank Herbert does not do that. Frank Herbert puts very little visual, tactile information into his books. Like, you're lucky if you get a hair color. You know, like, you're lucky if you get anything. Like, he doesn't really go on to describe their outfits. He doesn't really go on to describe the look of everything. I mean, he just kind of gives it this very bare bones descriptions, and then that makes this property very open to interpretation, which is really interesting. And that's why, like, I don't know if you guys have gone online to look at Dune fan art, but there's just, like, so much cool Dune fan art out there, you know, where people have come up with their own designs. It's just, like, so much fun. And in fact, because it's so open interpretation, I interpreted my own Bene Gesserit look, like Reverend Mother look, for my, you know, cosplay that I did. You guys saw it in the opening where I got the box, you know, and I wore this headdress and stuff. And it was just like, you want to kind of keep it feudal, you know, and then exotic, but, like, weird and different. Like, it's so much fun. As a designer, as someone who really enjoys to design outfits and cosplays and things like that, like, I had a lot of fun coming up with this. Yeah, it's on screen right now. In fact, me and my girl Vicky, we went down to Santee Alley downtown in LA, and we went, like, to all these different stores, and we found this one guy, Indian man, and he had this store with all this really amazing Indian jewelry and clothing and, like, all this stuff. And that's where I got a lot of my stuff from. That's where I got most of my stuff from, like the ring and the bracelet and the caftan that I'm wearing, I got from there, and the nose ring and all that stuff. And he was so nice. Like, he was, like, super chill. He was, like, so excited for us to be there and was just, like, helping us. And he even showed me, like, those tassels that I'm wearing. He was like, oh, you know, let me show you this. And he was, like, showing us how, you know, Indian women take these and braid them into their hair. And then, like, and they also wear them in all these different ways. He's like, you can wear them all these different ways. And he was just, like, showing me all the goods. And that's where we got the majority of my outfit from. However, the headdress I made with, I made that for the Ren Fair, actually, last month. But my insomnia was really bad that week, and the weekend that I was supposed to go, I just hadn't slept in, like, a week, and I was just falling apart. I was an insane person, and it was also, like, 100 degrees that day. And I was like, I have not slept. It is 100 degrees. I am not going to go sit outside at the Ren Fair in a black fucking outfit. Like, I'm not doing it. Like, I can't. I will die. So I was really disappointed because I made this fucking crazy headdress because I wanted to be this, like, dark sorceress thing. And then I was thinking to myself, I was like, oh, fuck, you know, we need to make some Dune Club promotional photos. I can use that for that, you know, and it totally works. And I think I upgraded it a little bit. I put some, like, extra, like, wires around the horns that I made. But it was all made with stuff that I have here. I didn't, except for the thing in the back. I attached that later. I got that from the Indian store as well. But that was a lot of fun. Dressing up in that was, like, too much fun. And in fact, for like this whole show, I'm gonna be wearing these black dresses because the Bene Gesserit order, they just wear black dresses. That's their deal. Is, you know, they wear a black dress, and the reason they wear a black dress is because it's the ultimate in like subtle seductiveness. You know, because you see this black shape, you know, and you don't really see what's going on underneath there, but like you want to see what's going on underneath there. You know what I'm saying? Like you want to see what's going on underneath there. And so, and that's something that the Bene Gesserit are very much into. I don't know if you guys remember this, but on one of the chapter headings, it talks about like Saint Alia of the Knife, you know, and how a Reverend Mother has to create this air of this, the virgin harlot. You know, you have to have this temptress, you know, situation where you want people to want to have sex with you, but then at the same time you have to be this like goddess, you know, this virgin goddess where you're unattainable, you know, and you have to hold this intention, you know, and the black dress is really does that, you know, it's like, it's a whole thing. It was so wise. When I read that, I was like, fuck, man, like, the Bene Gesserit, they really know what they're talking about. Like, if you're a woman, really look into their shit, because I think that there's, like, a lot of really good wisdom in there that you can learn a lot from, because I certainly fucking have. Like, I've learned a lot from that shit. It's, like, really ridiculous. It's, like, out of control. Okay, what other? Let's see if there's any other questions. So how are you guys feeling? Thanks for joining us again, by the way. I mean, it's not over yet, but this is very experimental for us. Live streaming is a whole new thing. We started live streaming last year. I want to do live streaming more. I want to be able to live stream from my phone and just like, you know, if like a trailer drops and then I can just be like, you know, tell you immediately what I think about it, because our production values are so high. We just can't pop stuff out. You know, it's like Robot's such a diva. You know, I mean, he takes forever to get on set. You know. Yeah, and we also have one space that we work out of. So in this corner was my blog set, but that's gone, so I don't blog set right now, so we have to, like, redo our set every time. It's, like, really intense. Jeniers says, what's your take on the different leadership styles of the Baron and Duke Leto? The Reverend Mother tells Paul that a ruler must learn to persuade and not to compel. I thought this applied to the Baron, but now I wonder if this is a critique on Leto. The Baron comes across as ordering and not persuading, yet he has succeeded in setting his trap based on what we know. Okay. Very wonderful question. That's a really great question. So, as I was saying earlier, the Baron and the Duke do have two very different styles of leadership. The Baron is shown in the one instance that we get to see him. You see that he rules through fear. You know, he does compel people, like, or he does force people, you know, like, and because he knows their weaknesses and he preys upon those weaknesses and he binds these people to him through their weaknesses so that they will do his bidding, you know, and that's what he's teaching to Fade. And that is one way to rule, and it is effective, and it's the easy route. And that is the route that I feel like a lot of people take. I mean, in our world especially, like a lot of people try to rule through fear-mongering and things like that and through force. But that isn't the best way to rule anybody. And that, you know, I think that she's right. Like, the thing about the Atreides is that, and the Bene Gesserit, they talk about this a lot. The Atreides have this talent for inspiring loyalty among people. Like, people want to follow the Atreides. Like, they don't do it because they have to. They follow them because they want to. And I think that the reason that people want to follow the Atreides is that the Atreides are very genuine with their people. I mean, they are just good fucking guys who know what the fuck they're doing, you know, and are at the top of their class. And, like, you do want a leader who gives a shit, you know, like, who doesn't just want to keep you weak so that you're forced, you know, like, the Atreides attract the strongest men, you know. And also it said that you have to have a really good coffee, the finest coffee hearth to attract, like, the finest men, you know, which I thought was really funny. So they must have bomb coffee. The Atreides have really good coffee. And on top of that, they're just people you want to follow because they're genuine and they're really good people. Like, it's stated several times, that Paul has this instinct for rightness, an instinct like this isn't right, or this is right. And that comes from his father, and that comes from the Atreides line, is that instinct for rightness. And that's what makes people want to follow him, is because he's doing all the right things for all the right reasons, I mean, it's like the Baron, he's got his fucked up mentat Piter, and, he encourages Piter to be an addicted person. Like, he wants him to be weak. He wants to know his addictions so that he can manipulate him through them. He talks about, have you been chewing Varit or Samuta, And, like, those, it didn't say exactly what that meant, but those are drugs, and those are pleasure drugs. They're not, like, enhancement drugs, because there's a lot of drugs going on in this book. That's another reason why I like Dune, is because it talks about drugs a lot. And there's consciousness expanding drugs, and then there's other drugs that just are, like, fucked up, And Samuta is one of those where it's like, oh, it's so pleasurable, you feel so good. And there's this music you listen to when you're on it, and you're just like, I don't know, it's like heroin or something. I don't know. It's, like, supposed to be just like, you're in this state of absolute pleasure. And, but it's like super addictive, once you start taking it, like, you're stuck. All right, we got 4 questions left.
Those last 4, read us out.
All right. All at once or one at a time?
One at a time.
Okay. So 4 questions left. Calamity Cons asks, I feel really glad that I decided to join you. I'm learning a lot about this book. Well, thank you. I'm so glad. I'm glad that you decided to. I'm so glad. I feel really great about this. And that's what I want. I want, again, like, I feel like I try to be like the Atreides. Like, I don't want you guys to be weak motherfuckers. I want you guys to be strong, thinking motherfuckers. I want you guys to, like, think for yourselves. And that means that, it's like, people want to control everybody. Like, I want people to be strong so they can control themselves, And so I think that reading this book is helpful towards those ends of opening your mind, and, making you look at things a little bit differently and seeing things from a little bit of a higher perspective. So, yeah, Calamity Cons, I love you too, I'm glad we're doing this. All right, next to last question. C. Beck's Run says, first off, you're perfect. Thank you. Second, can't you tell us the next things we should pay attention to in the next chapters of Dune Club? You know what? I just want you to go in. I want you to just go in cold. I don't want to prepare you for anything. Just go in, and then we'll talk about it. But thank you for asking, But go in cold. And then last question, Brontis Orengo says, for any thirsty Audible readers, Session 2, pages 60 through 105, is contained in Chapter 2, which is at 23 minutes and 7-second mark to the end of Chapter 3 up to 21:45-minute mark for the full cast audio book. So, and also I do want to just remind you guys that, let's see here, the next situation, Session 2 in this book is pages 60 through 105. But if you're not in this book, which I understand some of you are not, which it's totally fine. I don't care. Do whatever you want. I should place more trust in my friends is the last sentence of the last chapter before you can stop. And I also do want to just say that you don't have to stop. You can read as much as you want. But I do think that it is helpful if you write some of your questions down, like, while you're reading, and, like, write some notes in the margins and refresh yourself before the next session and go back and kind of see what we were supposed to read and go, oh, yeah, and remember kind of the things that were going on in those chapters so that you can be fresh on asking me questions about those chapters. So, but read as much as you want. I mean, some people are like, I've already started the second book, which is like, whoa, fucking go for it. But yeah. So that's it for today for our live Q&A for Dune Club Session 1. We will be back next week, Sunday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Same deal, same thing. We're going to continue to do the pre-recorded thing at first because that just works better for us. We've been thinking about it, and we're new to this, and I think that's the way to go. And then afterwards, we will open it up to our questions again. So thank you so much for joining Dune Club. I'm so excited to have all of you here. You are all my beautiful BBs. And we will see you next Sunday. Spice must flow.